Hey guys, welcome to Choke Points. And in this video, we are going to talk about BRICS. Now, first of all, before we get started much deep into it, okay, I want you to like and subscribe because this is going to be an interesting video, and it's going to be interesting because next year, which is not too far, India is going to take over BRICS presidency for the year 2026. And there are things that we should know and the things that are happening around us. And I can assure you that all those things that are happening around us so far in the geopolitics, they are going to show up. Okay. They're going to show up in the BRICS summit next year. Mark my words. Okay. So stay with me till the end. Please do like and subscribe, and let's get started. All right. Now, first thing first, the news is that's something. Let me share it with you real quick. Okay. So stay with me. So, okay. Sometimes your sharing also doesn't work. Right. All right. So, news is that Brazil officially hands over BRICS presidency to India. India's BRICS Sherpa Sudhakar Dalila received the wooden hammer in Brasilia. Brasilia is Brazil's capital. Okay. And he received it. And this is the trend, and this is a tradition in the BRICS bloc that whenever a BRICS new member, or not new member, but the BRICS presidency transferred to the another member, or chairmanship is transferred to the another member, then this is how they do it. They hand over this wooden hammer. Unlike G20, where uh, President Trump didn't even show up, but he definitely complained about it on Truth Social that how they didn't give us the membership and this and that. So this is how a multilateral bloc is supposed to run, that you hand over, and those two officials that you see, they are at the same level, they are the counterparts. It's not like that the President Lula is handing over to somebody else or whatnot. Okay. So these things, this is how this is done, and this is why the BRICS matters to lots of countries. Okay. There is a reason behind it. Now let's first talk about what has happened in couple of years now, you last few months, sorry. So you notice that President Putin was in India on what, 4th and 5th of December. Okay. And in that, during his visit, the number one thing on the agenda, he had number one thing on the agenda, that was INSTC. That's number one. Number two was Vladivostok Chennai corridor. That's number two thing. Okay. Then third thing they talked about was the artificial alliance, intelligence alliance, and all that. And then also they talked about some defense deals, and then also they talked about cooperating in the Arctic and all that as well. Now, why I'm talking about all that when the news is about India handing over the BRICS presidency? See, I'm talking about this because this is important for this video too. So let's get going. Okay. Now, first of all, how this BRICS presidency works. So BRICS presidency, basically it rotates annually. Okay. Now BRICS, how you see the name, right? So how a rotation works is that Brazil, then Russia, then India, then China, and South Africa. That's how it is supposed to be. Okay. But what happened is that Russia actually exchanged it with it's a BRICS presidency with uh, some other country. What was that other country? Russian hosted 2024, Brazil hosted. So they actually exchanged it with Brazil actually. Otherwise, that's the order they follow. So Russia, then after that, India is supposed to host. Then next year, China is supposed to, like that, so on and so forth. So India is going to host in 2026, and then followed by India, it will be China that's gonna host it. Okay, so that's how BRICS presidency actually works. Now, another thing is that decision making in the BRICS is consensus based. The full BRICS members, they actually vote on things, and if one of the members doesn't agree to something, then that thing is not passed. Then it's considered a mutual disagreement. Okay, so this thing actually, this the way it is structured is that it's meant for equality for all. Okay, to respect the sovereignty of other countries, other nations, something that United Nations failed to do. And United Nations failed to do it is because United Nations fell victim, or say fell to the traps of uh, what do you call it? Uh, the rule based international order. I had some brain freeze here. Anyways, so no presidency can actually ever unilaterally imposes policy outcomes. They cannot do that. You have to have a voting system. All right. Now, so if you look into it, then there's some data wise, if you look into it, then members account for 45% of the world population, 36% of the global GDP, and then there is economic asymmetry right now, but I think that's because of China 18%, then India 8% by PPP. If you look into it, then so this is the economic asymmetry here. But then again, the population wise, if you look at India and China are the main thing here, right? And other thing about BRICS is that whatever they produce 44% of the grains and the agricultural products among themselves, and then their consumer consumption of that is also 44%, meaning that whatever they can produce, they consume it. So that's why they don't even need any other block or any other thing to export. Okay. Now, and this is another reason that the sanctions or tariffs and all these things, they really don't impact at least all the major economies that are part of the BRICS bloc. Okay. So now another thing is that now let's look into. I'm not gonna digress too much because then it's gonna be very long. I don't want to do that. Okay. Now let's talk about the India's position in the BRICS. Considering India is going to host it next year, so India is the third largest economy in terms of PPP, and India will be uh, third largest economy probably in 2 years in terms of nominal GDP as well. And right now it is fifth largest economy in terms of nominal GDP. India is the largest population, 1.43 billion, and India has the world's largest population as far as the military age population is concerned. Okay, that India also has that too, the largest. Then with an average age of 28 years. All right. Now, India trades with 190 plus countries with no partner exceeding 20% of the total trade. Okay. Then India is not under any sanctions, is not export dependent on any country, unlike some members, right? So, India's economy is fairly robust and fairly diverse. And India has one thing about India is that India has a very good balancing diplomacy. What they do is that they balance with the Western side, the global South, and the non-aligned institutions as well. Now, lots of people. So as far as India is concerned, India's membership in BRICS is concerned. So there are two. I would say two factions. Okay, here's the problem. One faction that is more of a West Asian oriented. Okay, I would say Middle East orientation, and so called the one that does not like Israel so much. That bloc basically thinks that uh, the I in BRICS should be Iran, not India, and they also don't like India very much and uh, its presidency or its membership within the BRICS bloc. Okay, they think accord for them India belongs in India is sort of a westernized country. India is a Western puppet. In fact, I see and I hear all these things a lot that oh, it's a Western puppet and this and that. Now, but they fail to understand and they fail to talk. When you present them the data, then you find then they run away. They don't even discuss all these things. That how it is a Western puppet. But when you present the data, it turns out that actually India is the most uh, aggressive when it comes to opposing any Western policies that were unfair. But most of these countries, I mean, most of these people, they don't know. That's because of the bias and then lack of knowledge too. Okay, when you live with perception, then you lose the perspective. Okay, you have to develop the perspective so that you lose the perception. Living with perception me creates bias. All right, now, so that's India's position. Now, also, uh, as far as India will be third largest economy by nominal GDP as well, and India is the fourth largest military power in the world as well. And these are some of the India's facts. Now, if you let's talk about India's BRICS agenda here. Okay, India's BRICS agenda basically is strengthening the new development bank to be demand driven, financially sustainable, and development focused. Okay, then building science, research, innovation, cooperation to share BRICS knowledge infrastructure. Then supply chain resilience. Now you see this is what I'm talking about. So new development bank basically meaning that to promote national currency trade, and this is why you need new development bank. In fact, just recently Indonesia has actually donated almost $1 billion worth of its currency into BRICS bank, this and new development bank. Now when Indonesia donated it, what does that mean? India donated that much money, Indonesia donated it because when Indonesia puts that much amount of money into national development bank, then it's opening its market to trade with other countries in its own national currency. Considering that Indonesia's economy is growing, and it needs resiliency. For resiliency, it needs to trade more and more in its national currency. And also, this actually elevates Indonesia's foreign exchange pressure as well because of lack of dollar. Okay, because it's not a very diverse country as far as exports are concerned, so they have to do something like this, right? Then we just talked about build science and research innovation. India and Russia are actually cooperating on the moon mission too, and they're going to work on building a moon a base on the moon as well. Then we talked about, now the another thing is these supply chain resiliency. Now what did I say? With specific focus on critical minerals. Okay. Now, supply chain resiliency. Remember, I talked about supply chain at the beginning of the podcast. I said INSTC, Vladivostok Chennai corridor, right? And then there will be IMEC as well down the line. But these are the corridors, and these are the corridors they are going to be further extended to meet in the Arctic as well. When you talk about critical minerals, India is going to get those critical raw materials from Russia directly. Okay, so that's how India is securing its supply chain, and that's what the whole point will be in the BRICS 2026 summit, where chances are that uh, that uh, that India and China may actually think of in terms of merging their supply chain, their trade corridors. Okay, because for those who don't know, then China has already committed to support India's BRICS 2026 summit. In fact, France has supported India's BRICS 2026 summit. Okay, so and if you want supply chain resiliency, then there is only one way to have a resilient supply chain. That is when two major supply chains, two major countries that have their own trade corridors and all that, they collaborate and cooperate in terms of trade. And that's possible when China and India actually join hands uh, in merging their supply chains down the line. Okay, and that's gonna happen because if you look into it, INSTC security is possible only if Armenia and Azerbaijan are in good terms. But right now Russia and India are managing it through the Caspian Sea. But the idea was to go through the Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan basically will listen to China, and Armenia will listen to India and Russia. So that's another game that's going on. So we will see certain things happen in that direction. Okay, so and this is why I talked about the resilient supply chain. And then also, India and Russia talked about they have signed certain MOUs in terms of artificial intelligence. Okay, and China is way ahead in this field. So China will also probably share certain things in the artificial intelligence field as well. Now, why all this really mean? What does all this mean for the world order? The simple thing being that because of all this, because of all the power that BRICS possesses right now, imagine a bloc that has top three militaries of the world in one block. Okay, they share the same continent. They are building their own trade corridors, their own supply chains, their own financial institutions, their own gold exchange. Everything is there. They have their own digital currency and all that. They have their own payment system. They have their own uh, settlement system and all that. Where do you think all this leads to? You may hear all kinds of propaganda, but this is the ground reality, guys. Okay, this is the ground reality. The ground reality is that uh, the whole entire the core five idea that President Trump and White House actually at least thought about. Okay, there is no smoke without fire, so clearly that was thought about. But the reason it was thought about is because of this thing, because of this BRICS power. They thought that at least let's build core 5, so this way, at least if not if may not if core 5 may not succeed too much, but at least with core 5 they can suppress BRICS in some ways. Why? Because you're inviting three powers from the BRICS three main pillars of the BRICS countries, right? And then if you look at it tactically, then South Africa was he's hammering South Africa that okay, we don't want you. Then he's hammering Iran on the other side too, right? So, and then he also bashed Brazil as well. Hmm? So you're seeing this thing, and then he's trying to idea is to form core 5 using RIC, Russia, India, and China. So the idea, this is the tactics that is being applied, but I think that that game is not going to work. Okay, so but still, that has Washington, the Washington DC or White House spooked at this point. BRICS spooks lots of countries. Okay, lots of collision, lots of blocks. So that's where the whole entire thing is. World order is now multilateral. Okay, and slowly and slowly these things, all the trade corridors, payment systems, settlement systems, all these things are going to be developed more and more and more. So you will see a whole entire eastern hemisphere doing its own thing, and that dependency that was there, that was created after World War II and World War I, and through the monarchies that are still trying to raise their head from the dead, uh, I think that's not going to succeed either. All right. So that's where the whole entire world order is headed. So that's it for this video, guys. I thought just to share this information with you. I hope you enjoyed, you learned something. Please do like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in another video. Take care.